For years, Worms was a game of mathematical precision. You played on a flat, two-dimensional plane where every pixel of dirt was a known variable, and every artillery strike could be calculated with surgical accuracy. Then, the industry demanded a move into 3 dimensions, forcing a 2D pixel-perfect franchise to map its signature artillery onto 3D physics-heavy landscapes. The culmination of this awkward transition was Worms 4 Mayhem, and later its remastered package, Ultimate Mayhem. It was meant to be the definitive 3D Worms experience. The reaction split the community down the middle. In the gaming press, magazines handed it humiliating awards like Worst of the Month. Yet, if you look at user reviews today, you'll find deep nostalgia and thousands of positive ratings. This split leaves us with a real dilemma. Is this game an unplayable, broken mess, or a misunderstood couch co-op classic? To evaluate this, we use a chart mapping predictability against required mechanical skill. Classic 2D Worms sit securely in the top left, high predictability, high skill. But the 3D entries leave a question mark hovering over the rest of the board. Pinpointing where Mayhem lands on this chart will tell us exactly who needs to avoid this game and who it is perfectly built for. The first major casualty of the transition was the most basic action in the game, aiming your weapon. In standard 2D matches, ballistics worked because players could clearly visualize the parabola of a bazooka shell across a flat X and Y axis. This wireframe grid tracks a projectile's arc. Adding the Z-axis makes predicting landing spots complex. Now add randomized wind speed. The wind acts as a 3D vector, pushing the projectile off its path, making long-range calculations wildly difficult. To handle this, the developers gave players a first-person aiming view. But the joystick controls were touchy and imprecise, failing to provide the tools needed to actually calculate these new vectors. As a result, players quickly gave up on the signature cross-map sniper and bazooka duels. The metagame devolved into walking your worm right up to an opponent and using a baseball bat or a point-blank shotgun blast to guarantee you actually dealt damage. Adding the Z-axis stripped away the tactical depth the franchise was known for. High-skill prediction was replaced by frustrating trial and error. The transition to 3D shifted the focus away from the environment itself, which lost its mathematical clarity as pixel-perfect land destruction disappeared. To allow for real-time 3D terrain deformation, the developers invented poxels, a hybrid of polygons and voxels. While poxels let the ground blow up, the resulting craters and landscapes were thick and cluttered. The terrain took up so much space that digging tactical tunnels to hide from airstrikes became useless. Because this bulky terrain, the third-person camera constantly collided with geometry. You spend half your turn blinded, wrestling the joystick just to see your character. These environmental issues are annoying in a standard match, but they are a catastrophe for the single-player campaign's mandatory platforming missions. Worms are slow, strategic units, but the campaign repeatedly forces you to execute precise jumps between small platforms suspended over instant-death water hazards. Because of the bulky geometry, jumping while standing too close to a wall frequently triggers a collision bug that shoots your worm backward, usually resulting in a drowning death. The combination of dense Poxel environments and broken jumping mechanics turns the solo campaign into an exercise in frustration rather than strategy. But if you step away from the broken mechanics of the single-player mode, you find the specific features that actually deliver on the game's title, Mayhem. Team 17 provided a massive amount of player agency through the Weapon Factory, a tool that lets you build your own armaments from scratch. You have control over weapon parameters, manually scaling environmental blast radius, tweaking poison duration, and choosing delivery types. A built-in balance dial restricts you from maxing out all stats, but provides enough freedom to break the standard gameplay loop. This customization willingly sacrifices competitive balance in order to generate highly novel, completely unpredictable combat scenarios. The chaos is compounded by the Worm Pot feature, which injects random match modifiers, like low gravity or super melee damage, right before a round starts. You also get extensive team branding options. Equipping your worms with ridiculous hats, customizing their colorful flags, and applying bizarre voice soundboards heightens the humor and makes you weirdly attached to your squad. Dealing with this extreme randomness is infuriating when you are playing alone against an AI opponent, but it is brilliant when you are playing locally with friends. There's joy in watching a friend meticulously plan an attack, only for bizarre physics to bounce the payload back into their own team. By abandoning the pursuit of strategic purity and leaning heavily into deep customization, the game successfully pivots into a high-variance, laughter-generating social sandbox. The reality of Worms 4 Mayhem is that if you judge it as a pure mathematical strategy game, it is an objective mechanical failure. The competitive integrity is ruined by blinding camera collisions, broken platforming arcs, and impossible Z-axis ballistics. This decision tree shows who should invest. Are you playing solo? If yes, avoid this game entirely. If no, we ask, competitive strategy or casual chaos? Strategy purists must stick to 2D Armageddon, but for casual chaos, Ultimate Mayhem is the correct choice. In a local multiplayer setting, the clunky controls and unpredictable physics actually stop being a frustrating flaw. They become the punchline. 3D Worms fails spectacularly as a game of chess with bazookas, but it succeeds brilliantly as an engine for late-night couch co-op hilarity.